Welcome everybody to Circle Back to You with the czar of football, Asif Ali from sunny Southern California. Welcome to the show, brother.
I appreciate it, brother. Yes, sir. Fantasy champ so far. As you can tell, 3-0 and 2-1. So hey, we're making it happen.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So man, let's jump into week two. Let's talk
Mm.
about that.
Week two, they dominated the Seahawks, but week three was the debacle against Denver. I'm not even sure why I'm wearing this right now, but it's just one of those.
Come
It's
on,
just
man.
one
You,
of those.
you you can't give up on them yet.
No, I can't give up on them yet. And there's still a very good team, very talented team. The problem is, kind of what we saw on Sunday night is kind of indicative of the problems we've seen all season with the 49ers, right? In the sense that, even though they have an identity of kind of being a power run team and having all the offensive weapons like a Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, the weapons are not being utilized because there's not a quarterback who can force a ball down the field. Now, obviously, I've been a big Jimmy G supporter. I got to see him in his first start live against the Bears. I was there for the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now at Levi Stadium, when they beat the Packers. And, Jimmy obviously, he has a lot of supporters. Steve Young recently was on record saying we shouldn't have a Trey Lance, Jimmy G type of split debate amongst the 49er faithful, right? And I totally understand that, right? But at the same time, Jimmy G's limitations kind of showed were on full display on Sunday night. Obviously, there was the safety was one issue, right? I mean, just not being aware of kind of where he was on the field and not being aware of the fact that, obviously, and he forced that ball on that play. He forced that ball and it was picked off on that play. If Jimmy G had just kind of looked the other way and maybe taken a check down or just gotten rid of the ball, right? Then it would have been their set of downs. There wouldn't be a situation where, it's a pick six or safety, right? And then, Shanahan as well. I mean, I questioned, 2 days ago on my last episode of my podcast, I questioned a lot of his play calling because, before the first half ended, there was a situational play call where basically I think there was a holding penalty, and Shannon and it would have put Denver on their own 40, and it'd be third down and I think third down 20. But Shanahan declined the penalty because he basically just wanted them. Well, he just wanted to, not give Denver another down. And because he did that, Denver was in field goal range. Brandon McManus made a 63-yard field goal. He has the leg strength to make those long field goals. So ultimately, I mean, it was just a combination of just lackluster play from the quarterback, awesome play from the defense. By the way, I mean, it was great play for the defense. All game. Russell Wilson was getting harassed all night. I'm pretty sure he didn't complete a touchdown. I think he only completed like 20 of 33 passes, right? And something around like 170 yards. So he didn't have a phenomenal game, right? And so essentially the Niners defense did their job. DeMeco Ryan is an excellent defensive coordinator, one of the best in the league. And honestly, I mean, I'm not sure if Jed York is will reconsider Shanahan's position after the season, but DeMeco Ryan should definitely be a head coach candidate, if not for the 49ers, but any other team in the NFL, right? But I mean, back on point, obviously, the offense just struggled. It looked stagnant. It was just an ugly game. I mean, ultimately, if they were able to kind of, get some movement, move the ball down the field and make critical plays, and basically, and not make so many mistakes, right? If Shanahan basically called more plays that would be more draw plays and more running plays, then I think that would have been better. And obviously, if we had a quarterback who could push the ball down the field, that's what Trey was expected to do before the season started. There would have been, I think, honestly, it would have been a different outcome. I think Jimmy G, obviously, he's very, very limited what he can do. He's more of a check down type of quarterback. He's money for 5 to 10, but anything 15 plus, he struggles, right? So, we'll see if they can bounce back. This coming Monday night, another primetime game against the defending Super Bowl champs, right? NFC Championship rematch. But hey, I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, there's a lot of question marks and a lot of faithful, on Twitter. They're pretty frustrated with the loss, myself included. So we'll see if they're able to right the ship.
All right. So how do you think about their chances against the Rams?
That's another good question, right? I mean, and here's the thing, right? The Rams, obviously, being the Super Bowl champs, they're a team that basically is really well balanced, but they really rely on the passing attack. And the Niners secondary has improved leap and balance this year. But the question is, if it's a Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, and then obviously Higbee, right, the tight end, and then obviously Cam Akers, right? The defense, can definitely stop, the Rams' offense. The question is, can the offense of the Niners match up against Aaron Donald and the defense, right? Jalen Ramsey, arguably the best cornerback in the NFL. And I think Jimmy has historically, I think he's 6-1 in his entire career against the Rams. So he's had pretty good success, kind of a successful track record against the Rams in the regular season. But ultimately, I think this Rams team is still pretty loaded. Um, Fortunately, I think the game is in San Francisco, so I mean that's going to work to Niners' benefit. So I give the Niners a slight edge. But hey, I mean the Rams are the Rams. I mean they proved they beat the Arizona Cardinals last week. Ever since the game blown out by Buffalo in Week 1, they've proven that the team is real. They've proven that they're obviously should be in the mix and in the conversation for the number 1 team in the NFC. They really haven't fell off that much. So um, I I'm picking the Niners as a homer, right? But I'm not confident in my pick.
You're not
So
confident? Oh
I'm
man,
not
come on.
confident. Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about week 2, the Falcons against the Rams. Man, hey, I think that the Falcons did an excellent job against the Rams, especially in the third and fourth quarter. No, I don't think anybody expected them to play so well towards the end of the game, but they did a fantastic job.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Marcus Mariota went out there and he showed so much poise and he followed that up in week 3 against Seattle. Let's talk about the Falcons. I mean, oh my gosh, that win against Seattle was a great win. I mean, that's a momentum building win. I'm actually picking the Falcons to win the week 4 matchup. When we get to that, we'll cover that a bit. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he went toe to toe with the defending champs and he was trained blow by blow and he was proving that, Arthur Blank and the organization definitely made the right decision going with him. The Rams of Cordell Patterson, obviously another great weapon. I mean, he can do it all. Basically, line up in the running back and the back like Debo, like the Niners do with Debo, right? Kind of like a wide back, and he was getting open at will against the Rams secondary. So I mean, I think the Falcons are a very good team. They struggled in week 1, but you saw how well they played against the defending Super Bowl champs, in week 2, and
Absolutely.
you saw how they went into Seattle and beat in my opinion, a very good Seattle team. So ultimately, I think the Falcons, things are looking up for Falcons because and otherwise, in the NFC South, the division would typically be locked down by the Buccaneers. I'm not sold on them this year. Basically, seeing how they almost won against the Packers, right? They almost won that game, and they beat the Saints, handily. But I mean, I feel like the Falcons do have a legitimate chance of potentially being a dark horse wildcard team in the NFC.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. I've seen a complete turnaround with the defense. I think that's made a huge difference with this team. I'm looking forward to this week, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I mean, the Falcons. See, the good thing is when you don't have the expectations. This is the Niners' curse. When you have the expectations of being a Super Bowl, like 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, one season removed from an NFC Championship game, and almost making another Super Bowl, the expectations are very high. That's what I saw on Twitter. This last week with a lot of Niner fans. But for the Falcons, obviously, I mean, like no one expected. I mean, the Falcons are playing with house money, right? It's house money at this point. So
Right.
I mean, it works in their favor. And obviously, for the Falcons fans, like yourselves and many others, hey, definitely enjoy this because I mean, I'm expecting you guys to win. The schedule gets a lot easier. That's one thing to note for the Falcons, right? And obviously, like in that division, I mean, outside of the Bucks, like I said, I think it's wide open. Carolina is not looking good. The Saints, I mean, Jameis, I mean, he's looked really inconsistent this year. Mariota looks like the second best QB in the NFC South. So, I mean, there's a lot to be excited for. And like you said, the defense as well. I mean, obviously, the defense has played stout for the last 2 weeks. So
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
man, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of friends of ours, man. We're going to start with Marcus Ogden and his Baltimore Ravens, man. What do you think about the Ravens this season?
Oh my God, Lamar Jackson is on my fantasy team. So this league right here, 39.4, those 130.6 points were directly from Lamar Jackson. Obviously, great win, great bounce back win on Sunday. I'm looking forward to this week against Buffalo. I mean, that's going to be a very, very good game between 2 great young quarterbacks from the 2018 draft class, right? Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. The Baltimore Ravens, in the AFC North, I mean, like and we'll talk about the Bengals in a bit. You asked me the question last time, are the Bengals, out of the mix? They're not out of the mix, right? I mean, if you're the defending AFC champion, you definitely are still in the mix. But the Ravens are looking like a team that's ready to reclaim that division because everything that you've seen, Lamar Jackson, that offense, and more importantly, in my opinion, that defense, Calais Campbell, that pass rush, that front four. I mean, they've been able to get after opposing quarterbacks, and they've been able to cause a lot of wreak a lot of havoc up front, and also not to mention the secondary, right? The secondary of the Ravens. I mean, I think the safety of the Ravens, I forget his Marcus. Yeah, Marcus. I think it's Marcus Williams or Marcus. He's leading the league right now in tackles. He's leading the league in tackles. So that Baltimore team is a very, very balanced team. I know obviously Marcus. Shout out Marcus. I mean, he's been on my platform. He's been on your platform. It's a 9-year NFL vet, and he's also a fellow arena player, right? So
Yeah.
we gotta give him a shout out there. His teammate Anthony Weaver is coaching the Ravens. My college coach Keith Williams is the wide receivers coach of the Baltimore Ravens. So ultimately, if the Niners can't do anything this season, that's gonna be the team I'm rooting for because I really want to see Lamar Jackson prove all of his doubters wrong.
Awesome. All right, we're going to talk about another friend of ours, Tara Trantham. She mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago, man, her Miami Dolphins, man, they got a good team. What do you think about the Dolphins?
Oh my God, that's the team that should be in everyone's conversation for the number one AFC team. I mean, oh my God, I mean they beat the Bills in just a doghouse, and we're going to talk about tonight's matchup in a bit, but they beat the Bills in a dog fight, like just to the wire, and and the Bills are basically, if you look at every preseason prediction, every expert on NFL.com and NFL Network basically had the Bills over the Rams in the Super Bowl before the season started. And the Bills have basically kind of stomped the defending champs in their own house in week one. Then they go and they beat a very good Titans team who made the divisional round last year, right, against the Bengals and almost made it to the AFC Championship game, and they stomped them too. And then they have to go to Miami. And Miami basically just plays them to the wire to wire. Tua actually gets injured in that game. He's coming back hobbled, and he still leads the Dolphins to the win. I mean, it's incredible defensively. I mean, they have so many weapons on deep. I mean, they have so many weapons on offense. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle is on this fantasy team, right? Tua is actually on this team as a backup quarterback for right reasons. And I checked the injury report this morning. He's actually playing tonight. Him and Waddle are both playing tonight, even though they're both injured on Sunday. The Dolphins are looking like a powerhouse team, the AFC. In my opinion, I think they're the best team in the AFC right now. But we'll see if they can continue that momentum tonight because they're going to Cincinnati on a short week, and it's going to be a very, very kind of, in my opinion, it's a short turnaround time to go out and win. So
Yeah, I think that AFC is tough, man.
yeah,
But again, I think the Dolphins are strong. I think they're going to make it to possibly the Super Bowl, man.
possibly. No, absolutely, possibly. I mean, and one more thing to note, this team, Mike McDaniel. I mean, you're looking at his first year, and that's why I kept bringing up the play call when you asked about the Niners when we started off the episode, right? The problem is Mike McDaniel was Shanahan as just from the passing game, kind of Mike McDaniel. He leaned on Mike McDaniel so much when we made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, actually also in Miami against the Kansas City Chiefs, who ended up winning that game. And you see how successful Mike McDaniel is with Tua in his first year, and in my opinion, the Dolphins are not a more talented roster than the Niners. But I mean, he's been able to maximize his players and utilize them to basically get the best out of his team. And I mean, kudos to him and kudos to the entire coaching staff and just kudos to Tua and kudos to everyone on the Dolphins organization. I mean, it's looking like a great year for Miami. And yes, I agree. I mean, they definitely, if not AFC Championship game, I don't see why they can't make it to the Super Bowl.
Yep, I agree, man. So one more team, man. One more shout out, Stephen Neff. His Cleveland Browns, man.
Oh my
another
God.
another great team. What do you think about the Browns?
They're a great team. AFC North, we're just talking about the Ravens, the Browns, after that statement win on Thursday night, I mean, granted, I think what is it against the Jets? No, who they play on Thursday night? Let me check. It was the Jets? No, Steelers, of course. Of course. That's what AFC North. Yeah, the Steelers, right? The Browns, obviously, I mean, so Kareem Hunt was kind of quiet in that game, but obviously Nick Chubb and Jacoby Brissett. Shout out Jacoby Brissett for a great game, a great win, leading that team, quarter to quarter, wire to wire, against a very good Steelers team, in my opinion, to the win. I think ultimately, Mike Tomlin, what I think he's the second coach, the second African American head coach, or maybe the first African American head coach to have 150 plus wins. So I mean, he knows how to utilize players, and he hasn't had a losing season in his past 15 seasons as Steelers head coach. So I mean, the Browns being able to beat them on Thursday night primetime football is a statement win. I mean, the team is Myles Garrett on the defensive front, the defensive backs. I mean, the whole team, is also really well balanced. And it's funny because everyone thought, okay, yeah, without Baker and without Deshaun Watson being suspended for the first half of the season, the team would struggle. Well, it looks like the team is well balanced enough. It doesn't matter who's behind center. I mean, not saying Jacoby Brissett. I mean, Jacoby Brissett deserves all the credit, right? But he's not Deshaun Watson. I mean, by any stretch of the imagination. I've seen Deshaun Watson play in person. I mean, he's phenomenal. So I mean, ultimately, I think the Browns are probably another dark horse team. If not a dark horse team, definitely a favorite to make a wild card. I'm still picking the Ravens to win that division, but I think the Browns are definitely, a dark horse wild card team to make the playoffs.
Okay, so you're going with the Ravens, all right?
Yeah, I got
Sounds
you, man.
good.
My coach. Coach Dub, shout out to listen to this, coach.
Sounds good. All right, so let's talk about this week's matchups. What do you think about tonight?
Oh my God. So yeah, let's start off with tonight. I just put out the poll on LinkedIn and on Twitter. No one has voted yet, but I've seen some kind of responses just on people I follow, different type of columnists and players in the NFL. I would say the majority is kind of leaning towards the Bengals because it's a home game, it's a short week. And ultimately, I mean, the Dolphins it was a brutal game on Sunday to beat the Bills. I mean, they went wire to wire. Tua got banged up. Waddle was injured in that game. You know, many key players were injured in that game against the Bills, and just the fact that they had to play them, and now they have to travel on a short week to go play Cincinnati. You know, in Cincinnati, it doesn't serve to their advantage, right? So I think just for these reasons, fatigue as well as kind of Rich Sherman actually pointed out type of a scheme that Dolphins were calling defensively. You know, basically it was a trips right set, and basically the secondary was backed, and there was no one on the. They were basically giving the Bills receivers 10 yards in space. And I mean, that's not a good defense. So I mean, no, obviously I gave a shout out to the whole coach staff of the Dolphins, but whoever's coaching the defensive side of the ball, make sure that you look and kind of look at the matchup because I mean, I don't think you want to give T Higgins, Tyler Boyd. T Higgins obviously injured, but Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase 10 yards of cushion because that's going to be
No.
disastrous, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with the Bengals probably 2017.
All right. So let's talk about this weekend's matchups.
Let's get this weekend's matchups. All right. For everyone listening, if you guys listen to Digital Dream Off the Ground podcast, I made my matchups because I play Pigskin and Pick'em. So overall in the season, let me go ahead and pull up my results. It's loading right now. So I'm 27-20 on the season. I'm in the 96.6 percentile. So I have 20. So it's around 28,000 people have how many 2 million that play. So let's start off with the Vikings and Saints. Who you got?
I'm going with the Vikings. I can't stand the Saints, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I picked the Vikings. 82% of America has also picked the Vikings. Not just because of the Saints, but because they came off a tough loss last weekend, and I think they're going to rebound. So, all
Excellent.
right, excellent. Next up, now this one's close, near and dear to home, right? Cleveland Browns, the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, I don't know about the end result, but I think that the Falcons are on an upward trend play wise. I'm going with the Falcons, man.
I'm going with the Falcons too. Home game. 79% of America has picked the Cleveland Browns. They are on paper a better team, but I'm picking the Falcons to keep the momentum going. I mean, I think Falcons are gonna raise a lot of eyebrows this weekend with this win.
I believe
So
that.
next, yeah, I believe that too. Next up, the Washington Commanders and Dallas Cowboys.
You know what, man? I'm picking Dallas to win. I think they have a stronger team, but again, I can't stand Dallas. But
I mean, look at my logo right here. I
yeah,
mean, the highlights of my childhood was Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith getting beaten at Candlestick Park by Steve Young, Jerry Rice, and obviously Deion Sanders from the Dirty
yeah.
Birds. I'm picking the Cowboys too, but and obviously 85% of America is picking the Cowboys, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. But I mean, the team is too talented. I mean, Micah Parsons, Ezekiel Elliott, even if Cooper Rush is the quarterback, I mean, they have way too many weapons. The Commanders have proven to be way too inconsistent this year.
Yeah.
Next up, Seattle, Detroit.
I'm going with Seattle on this one.
Oh, okay. You're going on a limb. I'm going with
Yeah.
Detroit. 86% of America has picked Detroit. I'm picking Detroit only because I mean they're at home. They beat the Vikings. Great win. I could see. I mean, Seattle traveling. They could I mean, but then again, Seattle could also rebound. I can see it going either way. I'm just picking the home team. That's just kind of where I'm going.
Okay.
All right, now this one, America split. Tennessee Titans at Indianapolis Colts.
You know what, man? I'm going to go with Matt Ryan on this one. So I'll go with the Colts.
Yeah. I picked the Titans, but I'm not confident in that pick. I said on the podcast too. I would not be surprised if the Colts improve it 2-1-1. Matt, obviously, playing on a short week. It doesn't actually. He's not playing on a short week. He's playing on a regular week. But I mean, obviously, Jonathan Taylor, the best running back in the NFL. The weapons that they have. I mean, obviously, Michael Pittman's on my fantasy team. He's been a stud this whole season. Outside of week 2 when he was injured, so he couldn't even play. So I mean, and I do think that Matt Ryan, he doesn't have to do too much. I think I'm picking the Titans only because I think they're a better team on paper because of Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, that defense. But I'm not too confident in that pick. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts win. So 55% of America has picked the Colts, 45% has picked the Titans. It's a divisional matchup. That's pretty common. So
Okay.
next up, Chicago Bears at New York Giants.
I'm going with the Giants on this one.
Me too. I'm going with the Giants. 68% of America has picked the Giants, gets 32% for the Bears. Shout out Brian, if you're Brian Arline, if you listen to this, obviously he's a big diehard Bears fan. Uh, the Bears, they had a great win in week 3. But I think the Giants, against Cowboys, they almost won that game. The Cowboys are, in my opinion, are a much more talented team than Chicago, and the Giants are obviously 2-1 this year. They look leaps and bounds better than they've looked for the past 5 years under
Oh
Brian
yeah,
Daboll. Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. So I'm picking the Giants too. Oh, this one is okay. This one's fun. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh well, of course the Eagles, man.
Well, of course the Eagles, but the funny thing is I mean, Doug Peterson knows that team. I mean, Doug Peterson is going back to Philadelphia. He was there when Jalen Hurts was drafted, and I mean a lot of that team is still turnover from the Super Bowl. I mean, not necessarily a lot of it. I would say maybe like around 40% of that team is still from that turnover, like kind of remained from the Super Bowl year. But yeah, I mean, 89% of America is really sold on the Eagles, and only 11% has picked the Jaguars. But the Jaguars' defense and that in the running game is really really good this year. I mean, I really don't think anyone should sleep on the Jaguars, especially how they beat the Chargers handily in Week 3, 38-10. I mean, that is not an easy task to do, especially in that stadium. So, I mean,
Okay,
we'll see.
I got to check out that game.
You have to go check that out, definitely. All right, next up, New York Jets at Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going with the Steelers.
I'm going with Steelers too. 83% of America picks Steelers, or 70% of the Jets. Not much needs to be said the Jets. All right, last well, not last one, but big marquee matchup: Buffalo Bills at Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah.
Man, Marcus, I gotta say that I'm gonna go with the Bills on this one.
No, you didn't. Yep, I did too. I picked the Bills.
Okay.
So, I mean, 75%. 70, and shout out Coach Dub. I love you, man, but it's not your fault. I mean, 75% of America picks the Bills. The Bills are the best team on paper in the AFC, arguably in the NFL. I picked them to bounce back against Miami after a tough loss. Everyone saw Ken Dorsey's meltdown. We threw the tablet against the
you saw that?
Everyone was talking about on national sports talk radio.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Bills to kind of rebound and get some of that momentum back. Now LA Chargers against Houston Texans.
I'm going with the Texans.
Ooh, man, that's you're going on a limb. They actually have not won a game. Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers. Now, 90% of America picks the Chargers, 7% against the Texans. Obviously, Joey Bosa's out. He's having surgery on that groin. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans, because Texans have played some teams tough, especially Denver. But I mean, I think offensively they're lacking. So I'm picking the Chargers for that reason.
All right.
Arizona Cardinals or Carolina Panthers.
I'm going with the Panthers.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm going with the Cardinals. 77% of America picks the Cardinals. Baker Mayfield is the reason. The Panthers otherwise are great. Both sides of the ball. They have weapons on offense. They have weapons. They have a great, solid defense. Great defensive coordinator as well. But I mean, I think the Cardinals are just a better team. And Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield by leaps and bounds. New England Patriots against Green Bay Packers.
I'm picking the Packers.
I'm picking the Packers too. 96% of America agrees with us. I mean, it's a pretty easy pick 'em because I mean the Patriots are without Mac Jones this week. Bill Belichick on the press conference 12 times said he's day to day. That's pretty much like the on to Cincinnati press conference, back in 2014. Obviously the Packers are are now, I think they are one of 2 or 3 undefeated teams in the NFL. And obviously, they went Tampa Bay, got that statement win. They're at home. Aaron Rodgers looks like an MVP. It's crazy to see, without Devontae Adams, how well he's been able to pick up where he left off. So, the Packers are a dangerous team this year.
Sure.
Let's see. Denver Broncos at Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm going with the Broncos.
I'm going with the Raiders. 61% of America chose the Raiders. 39% chose the Broncos. The Broncos, for all sakes and purposes, are quote unquote better, right? As a team. I'd say defensively as well. But I think the Raiders need to get that one win this year. Divisional matchups are always tougher. I'm picking the Raiders just because they're at home. And Denver probably, but Denver could win. So because the Raiders are the Raiders.
It could go either way.
Yeah, go either way, right? Kansas City Chiefs against Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You know what? I'm picking the Buccaneers on this one. I don't think that Tom Brady is going to lose that game.
Yeah, I picked that one. I picked the Buccaneers too. 28%. Only 28% of America picks the Buccaneers. So
Wow.
yeah, that's it's pretty interesting. So 72% of America believes in the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are obviously, they won in week 3. Sorry, they lost a tough one against Indianapolis. I think that's why everyone's picking them. But it's a road game, and Tom Brady also lost a close one against Green Bay. So I think he's gonna have all the motivation to beat, especially the team like Kansas City. He can't lose Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, and the last game, obviously, the Los Angeles Rams against the San Francisco 49ers, Monday Night Football.
That's a tough one, man. But I got to go with the Super Bowl champs.
Yes, sir. 81% of America agrees with you. I'm picking the Niners. I'm not confident in my pick, like I said previously. We have to get a lot of things in order. We have to get our offense in order. We got to get our play calling in order. And these are things which may or may not be resolved after a week break. So hopefully Niners can do it. But we'll see. And that pretty much wraps it up for week 4 picks.
Sounds good. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. All of our picks for this week. We will see you again next week. Take care, everybody.
Take care.